off running? You got that? So got that hours off 12 days. Barely stand up the whole week.
So mine was just a little bit of sinus thing. But then I woke up this morning and but I feel great. I'm totally fine. Just can't talk. You know, that's what
It's usually what it smells like.
Are you? Y'all doing all right?
whenever you're ready, sir.
Light and rain, roofing's kind of interesting, but rain every day.
I think I'm gonna have to approach your area. Oh, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah. Yes, it's a great idea. Well, you don't really need it, but.
That was a joke.
Call this meeting to order of the Escambia County COMC Board, July the 2nd, 2025. And before we go any further today, we're doing something that is done in all of our county meetings. We haven't been doing it, but we're going to start it today. We're going to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for doing that. I figure it's a good weekend to do it, starting the 4th of July here.
Would you like me to read the rules?
Yes, please.
Please silence all cell phones. If you wish to speak, please let the board secretary know in advance. Sorry, I sound bad, but that's it. I just sound bad.
Stay over there.
Otherwise, raise your hand for the board chair to recognize your request. When the chairman calls you to speak, come to the podium, adjust the microphone, and state your name and address for the record. You are requested to keep your remarks brief and factual. Both parties of an issue will be granted uniform maximum time to speak, which usually runs between 3 to 5 minutes. This hearing is considered quasi-judicial. Conduct is formal, and profane or derogatory comments will not be tolerated.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Do we have a determination of quorum this morning?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, with 7 members present, we do. Ms. Luna is supposed to be on her way, and Mr. Patel will not be making it.
And we have one that may have to leave before we're finished today, too.
That's
so
correct.
Still should be okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do we have proof of publication of our meeting today?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. It was published on June 26, 2025 in the Pensacola News Journal.
Thank you. And we didn't have the minutes from the last one, so we're looking for a motion and a second, and we'll do these individually. For the minutes for the May 7th meeting, do I have a motion and a second for approval?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved. I need a motion and a second for the minutes for the June 4th meeting.
Make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion has been approved. Madam Secretary, do we have anybody signed up for the public forum?
I have no speaker request forms for public forum, but you may want to poll the audience.
Is there anybody in the room today that would like to speak during the public forum session? There's none that we can recognize. Do you have your Board Secretary status report this morning?
I do want to say happy 4th of July to everybody. We also have a request for an add-on. It's a contractor application for James Howard. And we can go into that situation a little bit later, should it be approved to be an add-on.
Okay, so I will need a motion to approve an add-on for contractor applications, Mr. James Howard, is that correct? The right name?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion to add on?
I'll make a motion to add on.
Mr. James Howard, okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. I think the hesitation is because of the last minute thing. People have, that's the,
I understand.
just for the public record of why the hesitation. It's not anything to do with the individual, it's the procedure. Okay, any questions from anybody, discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved.
I'm gonna go ahead at this time and pass out that application.
Thank you. And we will add him number 6 on our list today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Again, for public record, the hesitation is that there's a time frame to turn these applications in, and coming in at the last minute does not give us time to properly review ahead of time. So that's the only reason for that today. Mr. Timothy Fox.
Good morning, Board. The first applicant appearing before you today, as you said, is Mr. Timothy Fox. If you will, Mr. Timothy Fox, for the record, state your name and address.
Timothy Fox, address of 224 Tulsa Drive, and that's in Pensacola.
All right, Mr. Fox is applying for the specialty structure contractor examination with APP number 250653. And he appears before you today with 6 years, 7 months, and 1 day of experience. And Mr. Fox worked as the Vice President, lead installer at Bay Aluminum Screen Incorporated, under the supervision of Mr. Eddie Palmer, who holds an active license for specialty structure contractor with number RX0066750. And Mr. Palmer has held this license since 1999. Alrighty, and Mr. Fox's responsibilities while working at Bay Aluminum and Screen Incorporated included, but not limited to, being the lead specialty structure builder and contractor apprentice, building and installation of pool enclosures, aluminum, glass floored rooms, as well as aluminum patio covers. And staff recommends approval for examination.
Mr. Fox, would you like to talk to the board, tell us anything?
Just explain the lapse in employment. I went from being the lead installer at my father-in-law's business, Bay Aluminum, to working at the sheriff's office. I've resided or maintained employment at the sheriff's office since. However, I continue to help Mr. Palmer do the engineering materials list, and he's kept me up to date with any code additions, change of plans, any processes that Bay Aluminum continues to improve upon.
So you'll be getting licensed to be able to qualify the company at some point, perhaps. Is that kind of the
Yes, sir.
mindset?
Eventually, the plan is to take over Bay Aluminum.
Good, good deal.
He'd like to retire eventually.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions from the board? We have a sheriff's office representative here. The former one, I'm sorry.
Happily retired, right?
Do you plan to continue working with the sheriff's office
That is the hope and plan.
and to work at Bay Aluminum?
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion?
And that is permissible at the sheriff's office to work 2 jobs as long as it's approved through the administration.
and I still maintain that approval from when I was hired on at the sheriff's office, being an employee at Bay Aluminum.
Okay, any other questions? Do I have a motion for approval or to not approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? The yeas have it. Motion has been approved. You have been approved to go for the specially structured contractor's license.
Thank you, Board.
Yes, sir. Okay, next we have Michael Farrell.
Yes, sir. Mr. Farrell, if you will please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, sir.
Michael Farrell, 1422 Majesty Loop, that's Foley, Alabama.
Board members, Mr. Farrell appears before you today requesting approval to take the residential contractor's examination. He comes with 2 years, 5 months, and 23 days of experience operating Legacy Property Management and Development, LLC. This business is licensed as a residential home builder's license in Alabama. You will find copies of his Alabama license included in this packet. The remainder of his experience will come from working for Carib Incorporated. Carib has been licensed since July 26, 2006, meeting the 4-year requirements set forth by 489-111. He has provided copies of his 2018, 19, and 20 W-2s for verification of his employment and experience, as the license holder was not willing to sign the experience verification form. Because the verification of experience is outside the state of Florida and W-2s were provided for experience, staff's recommendation would be to defer to the board for approval.
Mr. Farrell, would you like to address the board?
We're a small family-owned business. We have a pretty wide range customer base, and some of them have investment properties here in Pensacola, and we'd like to be able to serve them for remodels and renovations and things like that.
So your business address is coming from New Jersey?
That is, so we have one of my partners lives in New Jersey, and she does all of our scheduling and accounting and things like that. That's why that has an address there. We're based out of Baldwin County, Alabama.
But you'll be the one that actually runs the company?
Yes, sir. I am. I have been. Mhm.
Okay.
She was a business partner, and like I said, she does all of our customer service. She takes all of our calls, does all of our scheduling, does all of our billing. They just live in New Jersey right now. They plan on moving back after their son graduates high school.
So we make everybody aware of this. This is just more protocol than anything. You're qualifying a company that you don't fully own, if it's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yes, sir.
So you're the one that's going to be responsible totally for the contracting side.
Correct. I carry all the licenses. Yes, sir.
And anything that happens, it's you that's on the line.
Correct.
Make sure you're very much aware of that.
Yes, sir.
Because we have a number of circumstances that come through here where the person who was the license holder is held responsible and everybody else is not.
No, sir. I'm the boots on the ground, and most of the time I'm the one doing the work. I do have some staff, but like I said, we're small, local-owned
But
business.
the financial side is what gets everybody.
Right.
So this is just more of a word to the wise type thing of having to be careful with that. Any board members have any concerns, any questions for Mr. Farrell? Okay, I will entertain a motion for either approval or non-approval. Or I'll entertain no motion.
Make a motion.
To,
Approval.
for approval? Do I have a second for this?
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Discussion amongst ourselves. Where's everybody's? Anybody have any discussion?
Well, I'm just glad that you, because we've
Turn
had a
your-
couple.
turn your mic on.
Oh, sorry. I'm just glad that you explained, because we've had a couple in the past where this has happened and the owners were out of state and everything went down south. So as long as you fully understand, it's not going.
We are, if it
I get the-
helps, we are all equal owners of the company.
And that's good, but what we find in here is that the person who's boots on the ground, running everything, but not running the financial,
I'm involved in the finances just as much, yes, sir.
because that's usually what comes to us more times than not, is the financial side where an owner's getting taken, and
No, it's.
the license holder's the one who winds up.
I would not be in business with this person if I didn't wholeheartedly trust them with all of our finances. And over the years that we've worked together, there's not been any indication that we would need to question each other on our loyalty or our business aspect.
Yeah, you have to understand, we've heard that before.
Oh, yeah, no, I
So
understand.
we feel like we have to at least make this,
Yes, sir, understand.
because it happens way more times than one.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Welcome. Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed? Okay, 5-2, with one abstaining since she just came in late. You have been approved. I would say be very careful.
Thank you, sir.
That was the reservations, I can tell you. I know
Absolutely.
this board, so be very
Taken.
careful.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And if we could let the record reflect that Miss Luna did join us.
Pardon?
I was just letting the court reporter know that we need to put it in the record that Miss Luna joined us.
Yes. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, next, Christopher Stewart.
Yes, sir. Mr. Christopher Stewart, if you will please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, sir.
I'm Christopher Stewart, 1342 Harbor Drive, Gulf Breeze, Florida.
Board members, our next applicant is Mr. Christopher Stewart. Mr. Stewart is reciprocating his master plumber with gas license from Santa Rosa County. He comes before you with 5 years, 1 month, and 22 days of experience working for Reliable Plumbing Plus LLC under license holder Michael Driver, license number CFC 1430069. Mr. Stewart has provided all required documentation for reciprocating his license, has passed his trade and business and law exams, and meets the experience requirements set forth under State Statute 49-111. Upon research of the license holder, it was found there was a small claim record on file through the Santa Rosa County Clerk of Court, which is why this reciprocity does appear before you today for approval. The applicant has provided the court document showing that the case was resolved, along with a written explanation. Because of the financial questionnaire, which was checked yes, staff does defer to the board for approval of this reciprocity.
Hey, Mr. Stewart, would you like to address the board this morning?
Nah, I really don't have anything to say. I mean, I've owned the company since 2020. I actually own the company. I've been here for 18 years and don't plan on going anywhere, so.
And the only reason this is coming before the board is because he was honest on his application and
Yeah.
marked yes.
Right, I saw it, yeah. Does anybody have any questions about that? Did everybody understand the explanation for the issue? Charges added to the American Express thing.
I can clarify it if anybody wants to ask anything, so.
Anybody have any questions on that?
Essentially, somebody in Tennessee got a hold of my credit card information and swiped it for about $12,000, so.
Yeah,
Me and American Express and the legal system are working all that out right now in Tennessee.
yeah, it's amazing what,
It's crazy.
so any, I'll have to entertain a motion then.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Excuse me, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved. And you are signed to do the master plumbing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go any further, there was, I think it was the last one. Yes, was the one that showed the W-2s,
That was Mr. Farrell, yes, sir.
this one coming up, okay. These become public record, right? On page. His social security number has not been redacted on one of these.
We'll get that pulled.
Pardon?
We'll get it pulled.
Okay, just, some of the others have X's across the front, and then the last one doesn't. I think it's page 9, just for y'all to, hate for that to get. Mr. Jeremy Blackwell.
Board members, Mr. Blackwell appears before you today requesting to reciprocate his Class B air conditioning license from Santa Rosa County. Mr. Blackwell comes today with experience of multiple companies. He worked for Alabama Controls for 4 years, and he has provided copies of his corresponding W-2s to verify this experience. Research of Alabama Controls showed that they held a certified specialty contractor's license, which would differ from the NETA mechanical license, which he would need to verify his experience. It was explained that Alabama Controls was bought out by Alberio Energy, which does hold a certified master mechanical license. The license type would be sufficient to verify his experience. Staff would recommend at the appropriate time to allow the applicant to expand more upon the situation. Mr. Blackwell worked for ERDCC Correctional Facility from 1993 to 2014 in St. Francis County, Missouri. He has provided a letter from County Commissioner David Cater stating that licensure was not required by St. Francis County during the time of his employment, and it will be at the board's discretion as to whether this experience will be accepted. I would note that this is included as an option on the application, which is why that was provided to us. He has passed his exams for his mechanical Class B license and Business and Law 2nd edition in Santa Rosa County. He has provided all needed documentation for reciprocation of his license. At this time, staff would recommend to the board, or to defer to the board for approval or denial of the application.
Mr. Blackwell, would you like to address the board this morning?
Yes, sir, and thank you. Just to elaborate on that, Alabama Controls held a electrical license. They were not mechanical, but they were mechanical in nature. Alberio Energy, as he stated, did acquire Alabama Controls, and they do have the mechanical license. Frequented industrial, commercial, as well as residential applications for heating and cooling.
So the company, Alabama Controls, is not in business, so there's no way to verify the employment other than W-2s? Is that what we're?
Correct. It's through W-2s, and because they were bought out, that is correct, sir.
And there's no way to verify the actual job responsibilities as well because of that?
If required, I did work with a mechanical engineer with Alabama Controls, and he has offered to write a letter corresponding my responsibilities with the company. He currently works for Alabama Controls on the international division.
Mr. Blackwell, if you could please just go through some projects that you worked on, maybe that'll give them an idea of what you had hands-on experience in doing.
Hands-on experience started from teenage years, right out of high school, brazing, ductwork, airflow management, installations, mild service calls. Then I went into ERDCC. That's whenever I was introduced to the BAS system, building automation systems. With that experience, that introduced me to how to manage multiple buildings with their temperature and humidity controls. Post that, working with Alabama Controls, I was introduced more into the communications sector, and in theory, it's all the same. You've got heat transfer from one location to another, whether you're working with chillers, water towers, or a traditional split system.
Does the board have any questions? Particularly the guy on the end.
I do. Now, you stated on here, you was able to take the test in Santa Rosa?
Yes, sir.
Again, based on what your experience you just explained to us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because, I mean, now as a Class B, you're going to be going out and serving our public.
Yes, sir.
EMS controls is not the actual air conditioning equipment. That's why I'm curious here how he was able to go down. They just accepted that you worked at this control company?
Mr. Hebden, Santa Rosa has no experience requirement to test.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
I was sponsored by the county.
Ooh. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. That's a trouble.
That is interesting. Any other? I would say this, and you've already heard this spiel once today, but you're qualifying a company that you're not the only owner, the registered owners of. And again, if anything happens ever, we're not hoping for anything. Just know that you'll be the one to come in here and stand before us for disciplinary action against anything. So it's very important that you're mindful of that going in. Majority of the stuff, we said it a while ago, majority of stuff happens in the financial. Most of the time, people who qualify companies, it's because of your experience in the field, not necessarily the office. Somebody else does that. And when that happens, we wind up in a situation where you're the one that comes and stands before the board. Lose your license, get fined, all kind of things. So I would just, a word of caution again, to make sure you pay great attention, for the sake of your license.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else want to say anything or add to that?
Motion to approve.
Welcome, Ms. Melanie. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion up here? All in favor, raise your right hand. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all opposed? The motion has been approved, and you're set to do for air conditioning B. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Alrighty, board. Our last applicant appearing before you today is Mr. Carl Manning. Mr. Manning, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Carl T. Manning, 6999 Saltfleet Pines Road, Pensacola.
All right, Mr. Carl Manning appears before you today applying for the reinstatement of a delinquent license for a residential pool contractor, license number RP 252555340, doing business as Bella Pool Liners Incorporated. Mr. Manning's license had been delinquent for 7 years, 3 months, and 7 days due to inactivity. He has provided a letter of explanation as to why he's allowed his license to go into delinquency. And this was done after the publication of the agenda. And if we may ask for a motion to add the item to the agenda with the approval of the board.
Motion to add the agenda to the board and or item to the agenda and the board. Figure that out quick.
Do I have a second?
Motion to add the letter to the agenda.
Yeah, motion to add the letter to the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, unanimously, this one is.
And Mr. Manning, he has maintained continuing education as well. But due to the years of inactivity on his licensed staff, is deferring to the board for approval or denial of the application for reinstatement.
Mr. Manning, can you go ahead and please explain?
Okay. I wasn't aware that I needed to maintain the license, and I wasn't planning on coming back to the pool business, but things at the highway patrol just weren't doing too, I've reached my fill on tragedies, so we give it a shot in the pool business, and, that's why I'm here.
Go ahead, you have this? Okay. Well, which company was you working with before?
Manning Pools.
Manning Pools, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
You got a great dad.
Yep.
Is that your dad?
What's that?
Was that your dad?
Clark, yep.
Yeah, Clark, yeah. Any discussion here with the board? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved. Thank you for your service to our community too.
Thank you,
Highway
appreciate
Patrol.
it.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we'll switch gears into that, into that add-on, and I am going to ask Nick to talk. Go ahead.
So, board members, the add-on application that appears before you, this will be a little bit different. This is not an application for examination. This is a state certified license for Mr. James F. Howard, license number CGC 1517819. Mr. Howard, if you will please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, sir.
Hi, James Howard. My address is 1250 El Paso Circle, Pensacola.
So, board members, he comes before you today to give you a history. There was a complaint, case number 23056COM. Notated on the license card, the Contractor Competency Board does find the respondent in violation of Section 18-37, subsection CS, 18-37, subsection C, number 6, 1837, subsection D, number 10, and 1837, subsection D, 13C2. Based upon this case, it does notate that permitting privileges are revoked. Mr. Howard would like to have his permitting privileges reinstated at the approval of the board.
So this is the path for him to have reinstatement of his permitting privileges. He has to request that of the board. I believe that Mr. Howard has an update in regard to that case and the other cases that led to this action by the board. If you could go ahead, Mr. Howard.
Well, basically, I was in an accident. So when the hearing was held, I missed one of the hearings when the license was revoked. Extensive history. A friend of mine who was an investor passed away, had a heart attack in the middle of a deal. His wife stepped in, not having all the information, and that's how it ended up here. I was told after the hearing was done that my license was revoked for a year, which was up September of last year. I'm a certified GC license. I have 3 licenses in the state of Florida. Been in business for 25 years. I've built over 500 homes, 3 subdivisions, developed and built. So I'm based out of Escambia County and just trying to reinstate those licenses as far as active in Escambia County.
So let me clarify. We had 2 cases that came before this board.
Right.
The first case, he received a suspension on his permitting privileges.
Right.
And after that year time, they would have been reinstated. But during that time, another case came
Right.
before this board. Mr. Howard was unable to be at those hearings. I found out later that he was in an accident. Did not know that at the time. He was not able to come in. Wasn't aware of the appeal, anything like that. During that board meeting for that second case, the board chose to revoke his permitting privileges. And I believe, didn't you tell me the other day that there was a civil case that was dismissed and that there was, the state had also dropped their case as well?
Once I see the civil, it went to a civil matter, that was resolved, and then the state picked everything up. DBR, they did their investigation and threw both cases out.
Have we had time to verify any of this from the DBPR?
We do not have access to DBPR, and this was brought up last Friday, I believe it was, and we were trying to get it in front of you. But we don't have access to DBPR records. We could look into it further and find out. Whenever they hear our cases, they typically do not send us their order or final findings unless they take action. And from that time until now, he has stayed in good standing with the state. So there has been nothing online. His license is in good standing with the state. And mind you, this was back in 2022 and 2023. So it's been a couple years since that.
Yeah, some of us were still here back then, and we remember that situation. It wasn't just all financial. There was construction items that wasn't up to par. You kind of remiss to bring something about a roof that had to be redone.
Yeah, that was
different
where
stuff.
that was where the manufacturer, two different manufacturers on the roof, and one required lap, one didn't. I went back, took the roof off, had it re-inspected, it all passed.
Right.
There's a situation where the insurance company, where the client wanted to file that her pool liner was torn from metal from the roof, which was quite a distance away from where the roof was done.
I remember that now.
And the adjuster refused to pay on it. So she brought it to the Commerce Board, and from my understanding, that was all thrown out. I mean, the liner was torn another way. It wasn't from the roof. So, but that was the start of that, and then the next situation, and like I say, all that was investigated and completed.
And the civil has been taken care of. Do we have record of that? Again, y'all probably haven't had a chance to look at anything since this is last minute.
There are a couple of cases on there, but I will absolutely look for you. We have not had the opportunity to do that just
Right,
yet, sir.
it's just too soon. That's another reason why we don't like to take them so quickly, because it doesn't give our team time to do their.
Well, I wasn't aware when I came in on Friday of how did a couple jobs. I did a couple contracts and came in to pull permits, and was not aware because, like I say, I was told that my license, my privilege to pull permits would be held for a year. The year was up in September, October.
So when
I've been
Mr.
working-
Howard came in, he was under the impression that his permitting
Suspension.
privileges had been restored.
Right.
He wasn't aware of the other.
Plus all the information from DVR. My license was renewed on time as it always in August. Everything was current. State of Florida, everything was current. I've never had a disciplinary with state of Florida except for a judgment that was put on as a contractor. State of Florida statute, you can't have a judgment. That was all cleared up.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So did you correct your insurance to actually show that you're covered to do roofing work?
Of course. Yes, it was corrected several times. And in fact, I went over trying to find out why there was a issue because I just go buy the insurance. I don't know about it. Didn't find out what the concern was until I was on the board, here with the board. They corrected it. My premium went up, but they said that it still was not, I'm paying the insurance that all other roofing contractors are not paying. But either way, I mean, I have it. I renew it every year.
Ms. Mary, if I may, anytime that we received a general liability policy for Mr. Howard, we do request that we receive the entire policy, not just the COI. Mr. Howard has corrected that. Now, I will notate on the record that we did receive a cancellation from his general liability. I have not received an updated policy from them. This was in May.
Okay, so at this time, we don't know that your insurance is active.
We would require him to provide that.
Okay.
And you don't have any of the supporting documentation from the state or with the case that you could show our administration right now?
No, I didn't bring that today. I didn't know that I needed to. I was explained to me, I come in, that this was something I didn't even know I had to do. This had to be reinstated. Like I said, I came in and pulled permits and found out that to come before the board. And this was Friday.
So can I make a suggestion that we table this until staff has time to pull all the correct documentation to come back to us?
We can do anything we choose to do
Okay, great.
within perimeters. I would need a motion for that. I would need a motion to
Okay.
allow time for the team to do some more research into the DVPR thing.
I make a motion for staff to have time to pull together all the documentation in regard to DBPR, anything that happened in the previous case, whether it was settled, and then also in regard to the insurance very specifically.
And to bring it back next
And
meeting.
bring it back next meeting, yes.
Do I have a second for that?
I second.
I have a motion second. Any discussion up here? Everybody understand what we're doing? Give it a 30-day thing? Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hear none, motion is approved. So what we're doing is, we just, this is not a trust factor. What did one president say, trust but verify? This is a verification that everything is taken care of.
Okay.
And, you know, we just don't want to get ourselves back into a situation. So this is not saying no, this is just saying let's verify everything, and then next month we'll.
All right. Also, too, I'd like to note that Friday when I was in reference to general liability, Logan Insurance is the insurance company I have. I've been with them for 25 years. And there's a death in the family, or someone there in the office died, and that's been a delay. When I was sitting here waiting on the insurance, updated insurance to come through. And that's what I shared with everybody.
So, Mr. Howard, if you have any documentation from that civil case as well as DBPR, if you can get that to us, we're also going to work on our side to pull things.
Sure.
And that would be great.
Okay, I'll email that over.
That would help expedite, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Howard.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you guys for doing the deep dive for us. We do appreciate, seriously, the more depth investigating that you guys have been doing.
Thank you so much, sir.
Helps us out.
Absolutely appreciate our board.
So we'll move into our next phase of our meeting, the probable cause hearings.
Can you just give us a second on the shifts?
Sure.
Thank y'all.
All right, we're going to move into our first item. Dustin Avon, doing business as Your Local Construction of the Emerald Coast, Inc., State Registered License Number RR 282812247, Contractor Competency Board Complaint Number 250434COM. It's in regard to Paul and Megan Murray, the homeowner complainants at 1005 West Gregory Street, Pensacola, Florida 32502. This is in the city limits. Mr. Murray is not present today, but he has put in a request to phone call in, so we can get him via phone. Mr. Vaughn, are you present today? And are you going to provide testimony for this hearing? Yes, sir. And then, so at this time, I'm going to have Mr. Vaughn and Ms. Reber sworn in, and Ms. Reber will remain sworn for the duration of all these hearings.
Do we need to have Mr. Murray sworn in?
Melissa, if you could go ahead and get Mr. Murray on the phone.
Sorry.
I was going to do it separate, just
That's
because,
fine.
yeah, but it's all good.
Hi, Mr. Murray. Good morning. That's Melissa. We're getting ready to start the hearing, and we do need to swear in for the record. So I'm gonna put you on speaker so you can hear.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
And Mr. Murray, do you swear?
Yes, I swear.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and start through our investigative report. Ms. Reber, was a complaint filed with this department?
Yes, there was.
And what was the case number assigned to that complaint?
250434 COM.
And what contractor was this complaint filed against?
Dustin A. Vaughn, doing business as your local construction of Emerald Coast.
And what is the address on file for the contractor?
802 Largo Drive, Gulf Breeze, Florida, 32561.
Proper notice was sent to the respondent. Who was the complainant in this case?
Paul and Megan Murray.
Can you please take us through your synopsis of the case?
Yes, Mr. Murray filed a complaint regarding demolition and construction of a new detached accessory dwelling. As the Secretary mentioned, it is in the city limits of Pensacola. During my investigation, I'm sorry, what was that? Okay, I'm sorry. Paul and Megan Murray entered into an agreement with Dustin Vaughn, doing business as your local construction, on December 20th, 2023, for the demolition of a detached garage in the construction of a new detached garage apartment. The total cost of the agreement was $180,000. The Murrays paid an initial deposit of $90,000, which is 50% of the agreement total, on December 21st, 2023. The Murrays alleged that before the project began, they discussed the urgency of the timeline and that they were limited on funds. The Murrays alleged that Vaughn told them the project would only take about 3 months to complete. The Murrays alleged many delays caused by Vaughn, such as applying for permits, keeping the project manned, and causing them to run over budget. The Murrays say that by September of 2024, they had had enough and threatened to fire Vaughn, who they say threatened them he would stall the project. The Murrays state that they requested time and time again for an itemized accounting of the project, and Vaughn refused to provide that to them. Vaughn states that when he was originally contracted by Murray in November of 2023 to do the job, Murray had been working with another contractor who backed out of the project. Vaughn states that Murray had wanted to use the original floor plans he had with the contractor, but advised he would need to have new plans drawn up. He needs to. Would need to have new plans drawn up. Vaughn states that Murray at that point had already had an RV slab poured with plumbing installed without the applicable permitting and was having difficulty in getting the permits from the city. Vaughn states that Murray had an electrician lined up, but he recommended that Murray not do anything until he had the permits from the city for the work that he had done. Vaughn states that he provided Murray with the cost of the new plans during the time that Murray was trying to obtain the financing of the project. Vaughn states that he began the necessary submission of documents to the City of Pensacola Building Department in January of 2024 for the demolition of the existing detached garage, as well as the construction of the accessory dwelling unit. Vaughn advised that he reached out to Murray in early January 2024 to find out what he had done about getting the new plans so he could submit them to the city. Vaughn stated that Murray thought Vaughn had initiated the plans already, so he advised Murray that he normally doesn't do that, but would go ahead and pay for the plans to try and keep things fast-tracked. Vaughn states that in mid-February, the city notified him that the new ADU would have to have a site plan and new address. Vaughn states that Murray provided him with the site plan, which was submitted to the city. Vaughn alleges that during this time, while going through the approval process for permitting, Murray would contact him and request that Vaughn's subcontractors, plumbing and electrician, come out and do various small projects in the main home, as well as for the RV pad. Vaughn states that Murray sent him a video of the demolition work going on of the detached garage on May 14th, 2024, and advising him that there was conduit with low voltage wire that needed to be preserved during the demolition. Vaughn states the demolition was completed and final inspection done by the end of May 2024. Vaughn states that the work continued to progress with the construction of the ADU, as well as work done in and around the main home. Vaughn says that in August 2024, Murray advised him that he was out of money and that he would need to start using money earmarked for the remodel budget of the main home very soon. Vaughn alleges that he told the Murrays he would try and help them cut in ways that he could. Vaughn states that the Murrays continued to request itemized billing for the monies paid, and Vaughn states he told them that the agreement was a fixed agreement. Vaughn states that beginning in September 2024, tensions began between he and Paul Murray, and when Murray got upset with how the deck on the ADU was built. Vaughn states he explained to Murray that the deck was built according to the plans approved by him and the city, and if it were to be changed, the city would require plan revisions be done. Vaughn alleges that Murray began making social media posts about him and his company and accusing him of not working on the project and causing delays. Vaughn says he was ready to terminate the project when Megan Murray contacted him asking him to please stay on and finish the project. Vaughn says that he agreed, but advised her he would seek an additional draw since he had concerns he may not be paid. Vaughn states he requested second draw totaling $63,800 in October 2024. Vaughn states that in December 2024, when his roof permit was denied and the roof inspection failed, he learned that his license did not allow him to install a metal roof as part of a new build, and that the city advised him he would need to get a licensed roofer to pull a permit for the project. Vaughn alleges that Murray continued to be hostile and threatening in emails and texts, accusing him of not having workers on site and delaying the project. Vaughn alleges that Murray began to bring other workers in, doing work under his permit and threatening to take it out of his contract. Vaughn states that Murray changed the locks and prohibited him or his workers from accessing the property, which Vaughn says his cabinet contractor has corroborated. Vaughn alleges that in late January, when the project was approximately 90% complete, he spoke with the Murrays and said the stress of trying to work with them was too great, and he was going to contact the city and find out the best way for the parties to part ways. Vaughn alleges that the city instructed him to terminate his permit, which he did, and notified the Murrays via certified mail that he had placed a lien for the balance of the contract. Permitting confirmation was provided by the city, shows that the demolition permit was issued in January 2024, and a permit for the new ADU was finalized and issued on March 20th, 2024.
Ms. Reber, during your investigation, did you come up with any alleged violations? If so, can you please provide your justification and any supporting documentation?
Yes, I did. Code Section 1837D7, failure to qualify a firm and/or acting under a name not licensed. The first violation for that would be $750 to $1,500. My justification would be during my investigation, it was discovered that Dustin A. Vaughn's competency card was in the name of Dustin Vaughn Construction, LLC, but he contracted with the Murrays under the name of Your Local Construction of the Emerald Coast, Inc. My supporting documentation would be my investigators' Exhibit A, statement from contractor licensing confirming the date and name change was done. To add to that, Mr. Vaughn has corrected that since. Code Section 1837D9B, contracting beyond scope of practice allowed by license, no safety hazard. First violation is $500. Justification, as a residential contractor, can roof what they build on roof decking of their own construction, providing that the materials used are wood shingles, wood shake, asphalt shingles, or fiberglass shingles. The roof installed by Vaughn on the Murray's new ADU was metal. Supporting documents, investigation Exhibit B, statement from the City of Pensacola official regarding roof installation.
And Melissa, can you please take us through this list of exhibits and who provided them?
I've got to get a little closer because I can't read those. Can I switch
Come over here.
Sorry.
So we have a complaint, a project estimate, a proof of payment, and a project timeline, and a notice of contest to lien. Were those provided by the complainant?
Yes, they were.
And then we have a contractor's response to the complaint, text and email communications, statement from subcontractor regarding homeowner prohibiting access, and a claim of lien. Were those provided by the respondent?
Yes, they were.
Staff would request that all items attached to the agenda be moved into evidence for this hearing.
Do you have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All in favor, opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved to move evidence into the record today.
So at this time, that concludes staff's presentation for this hearing. We do have Mr. Murray available on the phone for any questions that you may have. And then Mr. Vaughn is also here, and I'm sure that he would like to make a statement as well.
Can we see if Mr. Murray would like to tell us anything? Has he been able to hear what we're doing?
Mr. Murray, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little muffled, but I can hear you.
Yes, sir. So at this time, would you like to add anything for the board?
Yes, I submitted several other complaints, including fraud and theft, other instances of misconduct. I'm a little confused why those are not being included.
Mr. Murray, can you repeat that question? We did not have the phone up to the microphone.
Okay, so I included in my complaint several other complaints about fraud and about other misconduct and incompetency, and it doesn't seem like those were properly investigated. So I'm just a little confused why they weren't included. I have a statement I can read as well. It's about 2 pages if you'd like me to do that.
It's part of the evidence.
And Mr. Murray's statement is in the backup?
Yes. And Mr. Murray's complaint is there with the allegations of the fraud, deceit, and all of that. And it was part of my investigation.
And during that investigation, was there items provided by the respondent to refute those claims, Ms. Reber?
Yes, there was, and just the general investigation and the ordinances that we have the ability to apply as probable cause.
So what we're hearing is Mr. Murray had other items listed, but based on your investigation with both parties, these are the only two that you found to be presented today.
That's correct. For instance, you know, the Murrays did ask time and time again for itemized statements. As you know, that's not something that he is required to give as his proprietary information. This was not a line item contract. It was a fixed
item.
amount.
Mm-hmm.
And there is text communication where Mr. Vaughn did tell him that. There was some allegations of delaying and getting the permit. You know, the permit, there has to be a permit obtained within 30 days. The demolition permit was obtained, I think, 32 days. And work must commence within 90 days. There was a portion of the contract that involved the main home, and there's evidence that Vaughn did have people on site before the 90 days, you know, working. There was no evidence that there was a 90-day lapse in working on the property, so I couldn't find
Substantial evidence.
that. That's correct.
Mr. Murray, can you hear us?
Yes.
I have a question here. There was a RV slab poured and plumbing installed without permits from the city.
No, sir.
Was that the work of yourself or Mr. Vaughn? Who poured the slab and ran the plumbing for your RV?
There is no slab. Nothing was poured. We did have a sewer clean out place in the backyard. One of Dustin's subcontractors did that before we ever got under contract with Dustin. In addition, we had an electrician out who installed a 50 amp plug and installed electric for our sprinkler system. However, that was permitted separately, and that was before Dustin ever started working, and it was not one of his subcontractors.
So this work was permitted?
The electric was. The plumbing, I don't know if he pulled a permit, but I don't think one would have been required. I'm not sure.
There is some text communication Mr. Vaughn provided between the parties where he and Mr. Murray discussed that work had been done, and Mr. Murray in a text asked him something to the essence of, can you let me know when an inspector's going to come out?
I've read that in the notes there. That's why I'm questioning this now. Is it appears there was some work done without proper permitting before Mr. Vaughn came on site.
Are you referring to the February 5th text messages about the RV slab? That's what,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I'm
the
remembering
sewer
as well.
tie-in and the electrical.
and the low voltage.
Mr. Murray had stated that Mr. Vaughn damaged some electrical that had been done. And in my investigation, Mr. Vaughn states that was where Mr. Murray asked him during the demolition to preserve what had been run there. And he said he told Mr. Murray, you know, I don't recommend anything be done, especially during the demolition.
Without permitting.
Without permitting.
The other question I would have, Mr. Murray, is in our notes here, there were some subcontractors that you hired yourself outside of the scope of Mr. Vaughn's approval during this construction. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
So just to make sure, you hired subcontractors during the time of being under contract with Mr. Vaughn to do work while he had a permit on that job.
Just to be clear, the contract specifically stated that I would be responsible to complete some items, and our agreement with him was that I would be available to help with other construction, and that I would be doing other construction on the property while he was there. So yes, that did happen.
So did you have permits for the work that you did yourself outside of Mr. Vaughn's permit?
Anything that required a permit would have been pulled, yes.
Okay, make sure you answer this correctly, or make sure I'm hearing you correctly. Any work by these subcontractors, you had a separate permit pulled?
The HVAC person is the only one that I know of who would have been required to pull a permit, and they did pull their own permit, yes.
He is correct. You'll see in there, the city had notated that the HVAC work was done unpermitted. And just, I believe, I put that in there as well. I think just in June, an HVAC company did come in and pull a permit.
But the work was done before the permit was pulled?
Yes, sir.
As far as I know, they pulled the permit when they were working. If they didn't, I can't speak to that, so I don't know.
According to the records, the timing doesn't line up from what I can see in the notes here. The permit was pulled afterwards, and that's a concern, obviously.
Yeah, that's concerning to me as well. I was told they were pulled when they started work.
And it's not unusual maybe for them to start working one day and go the next day and pull a permit, but this was a little... Any other questions
I
from you
spoke
guys?
to Blue Water HVAC several times, definitely before June, about permits. I believe they did the work in February, or maybe even January. So we would have talked about permits before they started and during that time. Maybe they attempted to pull a permit and something happened. I don't know. You'd have to ask somebody at Blue Water for that.
Did Mr. Vaughn mention to you his concerns about you hiring other subcontractors while he had a master permit on this job?
He did.
And do you understand the ramifications of that?
I understood that our contract allowed me to do work while he was working. And he also would not give me a date and refused to schedule anyone, would not tell me who was going to do it. We asked him over a dozen times between December and February when those items were getting done, and he just refused to answer and continued to cause delays.
So, Ms. Reaver, do we have a copy of this contract in here? I didn't see any details of owner being able to do what. Did I miss that?
Yeah, the contract estimate is what they were working off
Right.
of. There was no timeline for the project to be finished. There was nothing that, indicated in that, within that agreement that some of those items Mr. Murray would be doing.
I think Mr. Tim can probably help me a little bit better with some more in-depth details if needed here, but for the board, members, there's a flag, caution, et cetera, when a homeowner hires subcontractors under a contractor's permit. I've got this right, Mr. Tim, that the contractor who has the master permit is responsible for all the work that's done during that time period. And if he does not have the ability to hire and control them, then he is being responsible for workers that he has no control over, which is problematic.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's the intent, but I don't know where that's in writing in 489, but that is the intent.
That's what I thought of chapter 49. That's it's for the protection of the owner and the builder.
That's correct. You know, I know it does happen to where a homeowner will hire a subcontractor, and you know, I know there's a lot of times there's problems with that, but most builders shy away from that. But I think you can do it legally. But I think the intent is the general building or residential contractor that has the permit. The intent is they are in charge of the project.
Right. Thank you for just making sure the board understands why the questioning of that. Do you have other questions?
Kind of going with what you are talking about with the subcontractors, Mr. Murray, with the cabinet company, how did you find this cabinet company and then go to reach out to them to do some work for you?
The cabinet company was Lee Braswell, that is Dustin's subcontractor. I only reached out to them after Dustin had hired them. In the original contract, did not include any items in the main house for the cabinets. However, we did ask the cabinet contractor to replace 2 doors that were broken on the main house cabinets, and we paid for that separately. Additionally, as far as I know, the cabinet contractor never had any issues getting inside. We did install the locks, but we did not change locks. There were no locks ever placed on the building until we installed them.
And when did you install those locks?
It would have been sometime in January, but I'm not sure the date. I'd have to, maybe it might be in my notes. I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, did you contact Braswell Cabinets due to a delay in your timeline?
So we had spoken with Braswell when he replaced the cabinet doors on the main house, and he stated that the cabinets for the apartment were ready. He was just waiting on Dustin to tell him to go ahead. And so at that time, we told Dustin to go ahead and have him install those cabinets. And it was over 2 months before the cabinet installer came back to install those. So there were significant delays there. And I had contacted the cabinet installer directly to schedule him several times. He later told me that Dustin canceled it after I had scheduled with him and told him not to work on the project.
So was it you or Dustin that notified or made the notification that the contractor was no longer allowed on the property?
I never stated the contractor was never allowed. We called him many times to get him to come back. Dustin, I think, canceled him after he was scheduled with me.
Okay, so would it come as a surprise to you that Lee Braswell with Braswell Cabinetry actually stated that during the time of construction, the owner added his own locks and Ring doorbell cameras. We had to call the owner via phone, and he would unlock the doors remotely. After a conversation with Paul Murray via phone, I was notified the contractor was no longer allowed on his property. At that time, Paul Murray asked if he could hire my company directly to finish his project. I declined to work for him directly. I told Paul Murray that I was hired by Dustin Vaughn as a subcontractor, and that is where we left it.
I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I may have unlocked the door for him once, I don't remember. But anybody who needed to be on the property, obviously, I would have given access to.
Thank you.
And I never barred Dustin from returning to the property. And I think I did talk to Lee about after, Dustin had disappeared on us, or during that time, I talked to Lee and said, if I have to pay you directly, it doesn't matter. We just need to get it done as soon as possible. He never said no to me, but he didn't schedule with me either after Dustin disappeared.
Any other questions from the board for Mr. Murray? Thank you, Mr. Murray, for your input, and we will now give Mr. Vaughn an opportunity to approach the board.
Dustin Vaughn, 802 Largo Drive, Pensacola Beach, Florida.
Would you like to tell the board what your thoughts are here today?
Well, you're dealing with somebody who wants to play contractor, hired me to do the job, and then just takes it over and controls up and down. We give them change orders because you got to give it to them in writing first for them to approve it. He tries to bargain with you, cut the costs instead of adding it to the end, and then says, we didn't agree to that. And we have email for that stating that we sent those to him. It's just been back and forth. That's why when he started hiring subs, when I had the permit open, I went to the city and they advised me, you need to take it off. It happens all the time because you're going to be reliable for that work. So that's what I did. And then I sent them a notification to the mail saying, we're going to put a lien on your property.
So that was when you ended the work / contract is when, very smart.
Yeah.
That was good advice from the city because you could be in
Oh, yeah.
serious, your whole license, which is your livelihood.
Right.
Anything else you'd like to discuss concerning?
No, sir.
All the allegations today?
Yeah, I mean, it's all there on paper, so y'all have it.
So we have two things. Go ahead.
Question about the roof.
Yes, sir.
You didn't know your license didn't cover metal roof?
Correct.
I mean, why not?
Well, I called the city. We had some storms coming in, and we had the pre-inspection for the decking. It passed. So I called the city and said, am I allowed to do a metal roof? It's not going shingle because all the, submittals we submitted said metal roofing. And Stephanie down at the city said, let me speak with one of the inspectors in-house. I said, okay. Put me on hold. You could hear him in the background saying, yeah, he's allowed to do it. Go ahead and do it. Come to find out, when the inspector came out, field inspector came out, he said, no, you're not allowed to do metal under your license. You got to you resubmit to the city. So I called the city up and they said, Dustin, it happens all the time. Stephanie, I spoke to Stephanie, went down there and spoke with her. Said, it happens all the time. I advise you to get your roofing contractor just to pull the permit. The roof's done and we'll go about it. I said, okay, sounds good.
Did they issue you a permit originally for the roof?
They did.
They issued you a permit for a metal, was the metal roof on the plans?
No, so we submitted for it.
Okay.
And then time the roof was done, it came back from the field inspector saying, no, we can't do that. So it was like a Friday we submitted, and then they had Monday, Tuesday.
When you submitted, was it submitted for a metal roof though?
Yes, sir.
You listed-
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Correct.
Why did you call and ask if you could put on a metal roof?
Because I wasn't aware I could do metal. I know I could do shingle, but not metal. That's why I called Stephanie down at the city and said, are we allowed to do metal? And she said, yes, you are. She got advice from the inspector that was in the office at the time.
But you wouldn't have called to ask if you could put on a shingle roof, right?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Sims, some of that, I'm not defending it, but some of that when he originally called, they had just had the decking inspection, or he had just called for it. And his original call was to say, am I allowed to go ahead? There's a storm coming. Am I allowed to cover it up? And I think it evolved then by him saying, I did the decking, I need to put the metal over it.
Okay, that clears up a little bit.
Right, yeah.
And I think looking throughout this too, like looking at the notified date of the name change was 06/12. The modification was made immediately on 06/13. So this, I don't see anything malicious being done here whatsoever. I see a lot of crossing T's, dotting I's, and making sure that the contractor is doing what is necessary and correct.
So would you have something else you said? I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was trying to get a clarification for that. I was trying to get a clarification. I interrupted Mr. Irwin.
Tell me, how long have you had your license again?
Right at 2 years.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Vaughn? Ms. Jennifer?
Before we get to the vote, because it sounds like y'all have already asked all the questions, I did get a request from Miss Mary to recuse herself. If you want to go ahead and explain that, Miss Mary?
Mr. Vaughn is our customer and has been.
Who?
Mr. Vaughn is our customer at Emerald Coast. So I need to recuse myself from this vote.
Thank you for being honest here. So Ms. Mary has recused herself because of the insurance conflict with Gulf Coast. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Vaughn, and then we're going to make some discussion
Yes,
here.
sir. Thank you, board.
Okay, board, let's chop it up. Give us some wisdom.
My concern was about him not knowing about the metal roof, but I can see how that could have been misunderstood. So that's why I hesitate.
And to Mr. Paul's credit, he called and he did ask, there was a question there to ask. And if they told him it was okay and they issued him a permit and it said metal on it, he asked.
No, what my confusion was, I thought he had called up just to ask if he could install a metal roof.
Gotcha.
It was under
Another
in the
conversation.
context of a larger context.
But it still was a question on his mind, so there was a question in his mind, you know. But if they answered it and gave him a permit, I mean, I guess his question was answered, not necessarily the right way. Mr. Batcher, you got some wisdom for us? Tracy? No? So we can take this several ways. First of all, this is a probable cause, so we need to find out, do we need to go into disciplinaring with either one of these? And we can do them together or separately. Ms. Jennifer can kind of guide me here. We can do them separately or together, correct?
That's correct, or if you feel there's something else that you'd like to proceed with. This is just what was brought up during the investigation.
Right.
It is at the board's discretion if you feel that there's probable cause that these violations did occur.
Now, I certainly don't have any wisdom on this. However, listening to everything, pouring through the evidence, supporting documentation, and reading through this multiple times, and the dialogue, etc. You know, discovering, like with the code section 1837D7, like I said, 612, he was told, 613, it was handled. Code section 1837D9B, contracting beyond scope of practice allowed by license, no safety hazard. He asked, he was told. Honestly, I mean, we have contractors, we have people come before us that are knowingly and maliciously doing things against their licensure, against the state, against the county, and taking advantage of our county residents. I just do not see that being done here at all. So while I said there's no wisdom to be brought forth here, but looking through, seeing, I don't see. And that's why I'm definitely erring on the alleged, because I don't see the violation.
We'll give credit for some wisdom at least, I think. Anybody else have any comments here with this? Any input of what? So let me ask one question here. If it went to disciplinary, first violation 750 to 1,500 on the first one, first violation 500 on the other one, is that like the set amount? In other words, if it went that, there's no don't do it again clause.
Well, so it's at the board's discretion. If you were to proceed to disciplinary with this, the board could choose to find him in violation but not find him anything. It's really open
Okay.
in
that's
how
what I
this
was-
is written.
That's what I'm gonna ask. Just to let the board know that, it's not a set in stone then that we have to find a certain amount of money if someone feels that there is probable cause for some infraction, that it could just go to a don't do it again type thing. If just make sure we see the options here. Do I have any type of emotion that someone might feel going forward here? This doesn't seem to be a real cut and dry thing. It's a
Make a motion to dismiss.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to dismiss the complaint. Any discussion before we vote for that? Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay. So the motion is approved to dismiss this case 5-1.
With one recusal.
Yeah, and one recusal, that's right.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Murray, that will conclude your case. I can call you after if you'd like to discuss anything further. Yes, sir.
All right, our next item is David G. Rodemacher, doing business as Horizon Improvements, Inc., state registered license number RX 110666706, contractor competency board complaint number 250651 COM. It's in regard to, actually, this board, the Escambia County Contractor Competency Board, and you would be the complainant. I know, Mr. Chairman, you're looking at me like, what is this? So, we received correspondence from a neighboring jurisdiction, Santa Rosa County, that they had taken disciplinary action against Mr. Rodemacher's license. When that happens, because we are his licensing jurisdiction, we supported him to test, that triggers a case from this board. So I'll go ahead and bring up the investigation report for Mr. Rademacher. We'll go through a few little housekeeping items, and then we'll get Mr. Rademacher up here, and he can talk about that in Santa Rosa as well as what we have here. So Ms. Reber, what date did we receive that information from Santa Rosa County?
We were notified on June 11th, 2025.
And you created case number 250651 COM?
That's correct.
And that correspondence was in regard to David G. Rademacher doing business as Horizon Improvements, Inc., correct?
That is correct.
And what is the address on file for Mr. Rademacher?
1257 West 9 Mile Road, Pensacola, Florida, 32534.
And we did, and proper notice was sent to the respondent, but we also emailed Mr. Rademacher, correct?
I did, because that address is for Horizon Home Improvement location.
And Ms. Reber, can you take us through the synopsis of this really quick?
Santa Rosa County Building Code Board of Adjustments voted unanimously to revoke the license of David Rademacher, RX 110666706. He's the qualifier of Horizon Home Improvements of Pensacola. Rademacher qualifies Horizon Improvements, Inc. in Escambia County under same license number.
Can you go ahead and take us through that code section that you have on your investigation report?
Allegedly, Code Section 1837C7, revocation or suspension of a certificate holder's registration by the Florida Construction Industry Licensing Board or by a certificate holder's certificate of competency from other jurisdiction may be considered by the board as just cause for the suspension or revocation of the county's certificate of competency. $100 to a $5,000 fine and such other penalty as provided. The justification, Escambia County Building Services was notified by Tambra Lee, building official for Santa Rosa County Development Services Center, that Santa Rosa County Building Code Board of Adjustments voted unanimously to revoke the license of David Rademacher, RX 110666706, at their June 11, 2025 meeting. Their supporting documentation, Investigators Exhibit A, Santa Rosa County Building Code Board of Adjustments Investigation, Case File 2025-04181 BOAA.
That is the only attachment to this agenda item. I would like to ask that be moved into evidence for this hearing.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved to move evidence to the record.
Mr. Rademacher, if I could get you to be sworn in, please.
I got my hearing aids in, but I still have a hard time
It's
hearing
me.
everything.
Can I get you to be sworn?
Yes,
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you
absolutely.
God?
Yes.
If you can go ahead and address the board.
Yes, I'm David Rademacher. I received no phone call, no email, and no letter of a competency board meeting in Santa Rosa County. I did receive a certified letter with their decision. So I obviously wrote an appeal letter saying, you obviously have my address. Why did you not notify me of this meeting? And why on earth, after 30 years as a reputable contractor in these counties, would I miss a mandatory meeting if I was aware? I am here today. I got an email. I didn't get letters and calls. I just got one email and I didn't even reply to it, but I got it and I'm here. It's that simple. Why they didn't have my information, I don't know. One of the main reasons is I retired in 2018. My license, I allowed David Touchstone, don't get me started, to use my license because what I did for 30 years was patio covers, screen rooms, and sunrooms. aluminum materials. Santa Rosa County and Escambia County for many years had a master set of engineering on file. This gentleman right here can attest to that those days. And I didn't have to even do engineering because every job is the exact same. The only thing that changes is the size and the shape. Same material, same applications. So I didn't feel bad on letting David Touchstone, who was trained to use my license. Supposedly he was only going to use it for 6 months in 2018 until he got his own license. 7 years later, my soft heart, listening to his excuses on why he kept delaying it. But it didn't really bother me because out of sight, out of mind, because every job. The job in Santa Rosa, I have no idea what it's about. I have not been told about it. I have briefly, I can't reach David Touchstone, by the way. Don't get me started on him again. I've been trying to reach him to find out, get more information on this. He won't even answer his phone. It was his job, obviously. I knew nothing about it. But by the tiny bit I've heard about it, it seems to me it was outside the scope of my license. It should have never been issued because I don't think my license is even qualified to do whatever this crazy job is that they're talking about. And the only other thing I might know a little bit about was they said something about there's still a huge balance on this job. So I'm thinking, well, why doesn't he just hire a general contractor and complete it? I can't say because I don't know anything about the job. That's just me thinking out loud. But as far as me suspending my license for a meeting I knew nothing of, it's ludicrous. And that's really all I have to say. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I'm allowed to do it here, but I had a complaint from Escambia County, because David Touchstone again, thank you very much. But it's sent to me, thank goodness. And it's already done. I took care of it instantly. By the way, Miss Harris, you can feel free to call Mr. Harris. He'll be very happy with you. I just talked to him yesterday. I got a guy out there, which I had nothing to do with. I should have nothing to do with this thing. I should not have to take care of David Touchstone's jobs. But because my license and I loaned it to him, I understood that. So I have an individual, a very good installer. He's there even today. He's been there all week, rain permitting. He's been there, and he's going to finish up this week. So I don't know what more I can do, folks. David Touchstone, if you ever hear that name again, please. Legal things should be happening to that man, but I can't say. And plus, I am retired, and now I'm informed I'm not going to be renewing my license this year. I'm done. So he can, if he doesn't get his license, that's up to him. But thank you, folks.
Mr. Rudemacher, I wish you had been in here telling this while these folks was getting their license a while ago. This is the reason why we say what we say. I'm sorry to hear this. You've been in business a long time.
30 years.
Yeah. And
without incident, especially with Santa Rosa County. That's why it was kind of weird how they suspended after 30 years without even talking to me first.
Yeah. That's the danger of somebody
Bureaucracy,
using your
huh?
license. Yeah. That's the reason we warn these guys so much. It's just a situation like this. So we're in a situation where Santa Rosa County has already taken action.
Right, and I appealed, and I just haven't heard back yet. I'm still waiting because I just wrote the truth, saying I didn't get a notice. So please, let's have another meeting, and so I can find out what this is all about. And I haven't heard back from the board yet.
So do we have? Was there anything else you want to tell us before we?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Is there some options we have here of delaying to see what happens in Santa Rosa County?
That would be my suggestion, Chair, because we weren't aware that Mr. Rademacher had put in that appeal. And so, yes, you have the ability to continue this hearing until there's a resolution with that appeal.
From the longevity of this company and the reputation, I think it would be fairness of that if somebody from this board would like to make a motion to
I make a motion that we extend it until after we see what Santa Rosa County does.
okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to not make a decision. Let's wait and see what Santa Rosa County So we're not necessarily moving it to next month, we're just waiting to see what the county does.
So what we will do is wait until we receive correspondence in regard to that appeal.
Right.
Because it has to go through hearing processes, your appeal, I'm sure. So we would just wait until we would let Santa Rosa know that we are waiting on the resolution of that appeal. And when we receive that, then we'll queue it up for this.
Thank you. Okay. Any discussion up here? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hear none. Motion approved unanimously. We will suspend any action here until we hear back from Santa Rosa County, and then either it'll disappear or go forward. Good luck with everything.
Miss Jennifer, before we go to the next item, I wanted to round back to Mr. Howard, and a clarification that I need to be made. So he made reference to his insurance and that he was the only one paying for it the way that he was. The reason that the claim was denied was because his insurance was written specifically to exclude roofing. And he used subs that did not have any insurance. So therefore, he has to carry the insurance, whether he wants to or not, in order for it to be covered. So I didn't want anybody to think that he went and got this roofing added to his insurance because I said so. It wasn't that. It was because of the circumstances of that case. And then the claim was denied because he didn't have the coverage. And neither did the people that did the work. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Mary. Okay, so we will now move into disciplinary hearing.
That's correct, Chair. Our disciplinary item is Robert A. Skitchak III, doing business as RS Services Group LLC, doing business as Honeybee Plumbing, state registered license number RF 11067738, Contractor Competency Board complaint number 250329 COM. It's in regard to Matthew Sprague, the homeowner complainant at 2028 Hamilton Crossing Drive, Canton, Florida 32533. Mr. Skitchak, are you present today? I do not see that he is present. And then, Mr. Sprague, I see that you're present. Are you going to provide testimony for this hearing today? I will. At this time, I'm going to have Mr. Sprague sworn in, and just a reminder, Ms. Reber was already sworn.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
I'm going to bring up the administrative complaint. A probable cause hearing was held on April 2nd, 2025 in this case. At that time, the board found that there was probable cause to believe that the respondent violated Code Section 1837 D9G and Code Section 1837 D15C. Code Section 1837 D9G provides that a code violation results from contracting with an inactive license. Respondent violated Code Section 1837 D9G by contracting for the aforementioned project while having an inactive license in Escambia County. Code Section 1837 D15C provides that a code violation results from the job being finished without a permit having been pulled, or no permit until caught after job, or late permit during the job resulting in missed inspection or inspections. Respondent violated Code Section 1837 D15C by failing to obtain the required permitting. All of the items from the probable cause hearing are attached to this agenda as well. Ms. Reber, did we receive any additional items after that probable cause hearing?
We have not.
Those items were already moved into evidence. Unless this board feels the need to move them in again, that's up to the board.
If they're already in evidence, we're fine, yes.
So the decision before the board is whether or not the board is going to find Mr. Skitchak in violation of those two counts. And if they do find him in violation, what the penalty will be. plus a CILB recommendation, anything in regards to restitution, those items. So that is what the board is going to be doing with this hearing.
So,
Mr. Sprague is also here if he would like to add anything extra.
so Mr. Sketchak, do we know why he's not here? Did he give us, has he corresponded in any way to us?
He has not. I've not heard anything, even after he was notified of the complaint. I've never heard from him again.
But we have record that he's receiving the notices by certified mail.
In the backup, there's a record of where attempts were made for him, for notice.
But did we have record that he received them?
The last I was able to do was put the tracking in there. We mail those notices regular mail. And although the certified mail from the probable cause hearing was returned, states unclaimed, the regular mail was not returned. For either case. I would add that Mr. Skechak's license still remains in an inactive status, as he's not provided the documentation that contractor license asked for him starting in February of this year.
So to let the board know, we send our mailers certified and regular mail.
Right.
If we get the regular mail back, that tells us that there's been an issue with the address. We have not received the regular mail back. The respondent did not claim the certified mail.
Right. Just trying to make sure he's had, opportunities. Mr. Sprague, would you like to address the board this morning?
Yes.
Matthew Sprague, 2028 Hamilton Crossing Drive. Last time we met, you caught me a little off guard. Had Mr. Skechak shown up, I would have had some recommendations for him as to business ethics and things like that. I'm done with business with Mr. Skechak to my satisfaction. So what I have to say here, I'm saying for other residents of Escambia County, senior citizens, elderly citizens, or anybody that has work done by Mr. Skechak or is considering it. Mr. Skechak, in my observations, has a negative reaction to being told that he's done something wrong, or that something needs correction, or that he has to change what he does. He doesn't know that the person who's paying for the job is the boss, and that he is hired for his expertise, and he has the tools, etc., and the license. I was in the U.S. Coast Guard for 20 years. I retired honorably as a Chief Petty Officer. I've had people that I've worked for, worked with, and that have worked with me. And I've lived from coast to coast, northern border to southern border, and a bunch of places in between. I'm a month shy of 68, so I've kind of met a few people around town, as it were. I've been taught to observe and draw conclusions, not to judge, and observe details. When you fly in what you fix, you're pretty good on details. Mr. Skechak becomes, like I said, belligerent when he's told he's done something wrong. He becomes obstinate. And what he's doing here is he's not responded in any way to the board. So it's kind of to me, here's an opinion, it's an in your face to the board, to the county, to anybody. And I would hate to think that there's even one water heater out there that's unpermitted, uninspected, and illegally installed, especially a gas water heater. So I'm not a fan of him working in Escambia County. And that's just my take. But he's the type of person that needs to be have his chain jerked, if you know what I mean. He's not going to take a hint. He's not going to take a hint with a brick. Something will need to be done to keep him from doing what he tried to do to me. And that's my observation and an opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for your service too to our country.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, so we have the two counts. The first one's contracting with the inactive license. Does anybody need to be reminded of this? Do you remember what's going on enough to make a decision here? If so, I'll need a motion for a first violation between $250 to $500 if he's found guilty. And then we'll go to the CILB part on the second part, right? Or do we do it all in one?
So you would make a motion in regard to the first count, then the second count, and then we would go on
The
to the CILB?
CILB, yeah. So do I have a motion for the first count, 18-37D9G, contracting with an inactive license in the amount of,
Motion to find him in violation of count one, $500 fine.
thank you, Mr. Earl. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion up here? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion is unanimously approved to be found in violation with a fine of $500. Count two, 1837D15C, job finished without a permit having been pulled, no more permit until caught after the job, or late permit during the job resulting in misinspection or inspections, and violation between $500 to $1,500.
Motion to find him in violation of count two, $1,500 fine.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Violation of count two, $1,500 fine. Any questions, discussions? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hear none, motion is approved unanimously.
I need a time frame in which the fines in the amount of $2,000 need to be paid. And what should happen should he not pay those fines within that time frame?
Motion for the fines to be paid within 30 days. What was the other part?
And if not,
What should happen if he does not?
the options would be license vocation. Am I correct in reading this? License vocation?
So,
Period about
yes,
less than a year.
this board has done it several ways in the past. You could say license revocation for a period not less than 1 year, not more than 5 years. Suspension for a period not exceeding 1 year. You can do probation, reprimand, or censure.
Okay.
All of those things. Or, in the past, you said bring them back for further disciplinary action.
You need a break.
No, you're
Drink
fine.
of water.
Got some water?
It's spreading.
I'll stay over there.
Motion for license revocation,
If not
1 year if not paid for 1 year.
Second.
So I have a motion to pause. No, just kidding. Okay. Have a motion for 30 days, the fine to be paid within 30 days, and if not, revocation of the license for a period of 1 year. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, you said his card is inactive now.
It is currently at an inactive
So, I mean,
status.
Probably not planning on doing anything anyway. So, but
At least we can. Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none. Motion is approved unanimously.
At this time, we need a recommendation for the Construction Industry Licensing Board. And on your screen, you'll see what your options are.
Do I have a motion for moving it to CILB?
I make a motion that we ask the CILB to revoke his license also.
So your motion is revocation of his state registration.
Second.
Have a second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved unanimously.
We didn't receive a request from Mr. Sprague in regard to restitution. You may just want to follow up with him and make sure that.
Actually.
Can you approach the mic just so anybody who's listening might hear you?
I contracted for a water heater. I contracted for a permanent inspected water heater. I haven't. So, and I expected to pay for that. So I'm not one to want to get it for free. So I'm happy.
Thank you, Ms. Sprague. Thank you. Okay. I think that covers our disciplinary hearing. Any other business that we don't have on the agenda?
I have nothing.
All right.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July to everybody. We're dismissed. Beat me to it. Beat me to it.